Ever stop and think about just how big the whole world of education is? I mean, it's way beyond just schools now, right?
Absolutely. It's this enormous global system of learning, teaching, skills.
Hmm.
It touches billions of lives.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, the global educational services market. We've got this really detailed market report.
Forecast, yeah. Goes
Mhm.
from 2021 right through to 2033.
Right. And our mission really is to pull out the key insights for you, give you a shortcut to understanding just how massive this sector is and where it's headed.
It's a great way to see the trends shaping, the future of learning for everyone.
Okay, so let's talk scale. Prepare yourself for this number. Back in 2021, the global market, already valued at, get this, $2.7 trillion.
Trillion. With a T, it's hard to even picture.
I know. And it doesn't stop there. It's projected to jump to nearly $3.5 trillion by 2025.
Just a couple of years.
Right. And then looking further out, $5.7 trillion by 2033. Just wow.
And that translates to a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, of about 6.4%. So
Yeah.
steady, strong growth across the board.
These numbers are just, well, staggering, aren't they? A multi-trillion-dollar industry that's still ballooning. So the big question is, why? What's really driving this, and where is it happening most?
Yeah, and that's the fascinating part. It's not just numbers. It shows these huge shifts in how we learn. There are really three big things pushing this. First, you've got massive investment globally in ed tech.
Right, like AI learning platforms, VR for training, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Stuff that personalizes or makes training more hands-on. Second, there's this huge global surge in demand for skills, not just degrees, but specific job-ready skills. Think data science, green tech skills, you name it.
Okay, so skills are key.
Definitely. And third, everything's going digital. Online courses, sure, but also micro-credentials, remote learning. It's changing what going to school even means. These three things are all connected and feeding that growth.
That really sets the scene. Okay, so we have the global picture, this massive growth. Let's maybe zoom in a bit, take a trip around the world, see where the hot spots are.
Good idea. Where should we start? North America.
Yeah, let's start there. Already a huge market back in 2021, over $734 billion.
Wow.
And it's set to basically double, heading towards $1.4 trillion by 2033.
Okay, so strong growth there. And the U.S. is the biggest part of that, I assume.
Yep, the U.S. makes up the bulk of it, growing from about $586 billion to over $1.1 trillion. Canada's doing well too, mind you, around $95 billion up to over $200 billion. That's a pretty healthy 6.4% CAGR.
Nice. And Mexico.
Mexico's showing good growth too, more than doubling its market size in that time frame, from about $53 billion to $106 billion.
Okay, so North America, big and still growing steadily. What about across the pond in Europe?
Right, Europe started at nearly $508 billion in 2021, and it's projected to clear $1.1 trillion by 2033. So similar overall growth pattern to North America, roughly doubling.
And within Europe, any standouts?
Well, the UK, for example, goes from about $91 billion to $188 billion. Again, roughly doubling. But Germany's interesting.
How so?
It shows the highest growth rate in Europe, a CAGR of over 6.5%. It's projected to go from $140 billion to almost $300 billion by 2033.
Huh? That is noticeably higher than the others you mentioned. Spain's strong, too, you said.
Yeah, Spain has a good CAGR, over 6.3%, and France and Italy are also showing significant increases. But Germany leads the pack in growth rate.
That raises a point, doesn't it? What might be driving Germany's specific edge there? Is it policy? Maybe. Focus on vocational training.
That's a great question. It could be, couldn't it? Maybe a big government push for upskilling the workforce, tying back into that global skills demand you mentioned earlier.
Exactly. It shows how different national priorities can shape the market within a region. It's not uniform.
Okay, now, here's where it gets really interesting. If you're watching for the absolute fastest growth, you got to look at Asia Pacific.
Yes, the growth engine.
Totally. Designated the fastest growing region, hands down, the market size there, it's set to explode from around $965 billion in 2021
Ought to be huge.
to nearly $2.2 trillion by 2033.
Wow. More than double. That's incredible momentum.
It really is. China's leading the way in terms of sheer size, also more than doubling, going from $274 billion to over $630 billion. But check this out, India.
Yeah. What about India?
India boasts an 8% CAGR.
8%. That's massive growth.
Isn't it? Its market is projected to go from about $126 billion to nearly $318 billion, almost tripling.
Okay, India is definitely one to watch closely then.
For sure. And Singapore's strong too, more than doubling its market from $48 billion to nearly $113 billion. Plus, you've got Japan, South Korea, Australia, all contributing significantly. And Southeast Asia as a whole has a really strong CAGR, over 7.5%.
So Asia Pacific is just on another level in terms of growth trajectory. Makes sense with population dynamics and economic development too, I suppose.
Okay, let's head south now. South America.
Right. South America sees growth from just under $190 billion back in 2021 to over $413 billion by 2033. That's a solid CGR of about 6.7%.
And the big player there is Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil's the largest contributor, set to more than double its market from about $70 billion to $151 billion.
Okay. But interestingly, Argentina leads in growth rate.
That's right. Argentina, alongside Chile, shows the highest AGR in the region, over 7.3%. Suggests maybe some targeted reforms or a big push towards digital learning there, perhaps.
Fascinating. Okay, quick stops in the Middle East and Africa.
Sure. Middle East market grows from about $157 billion to nearly $339 billion by 2033, a KGR around 6.6%.
Main players being Saudi Arabia, Turkey, UAE.
Exactly. And the UAE actually shows the strongest growth there, with a JGR over 7.2%, projected to more than double its market size.
And what's driving that specifically in the Middle East?
Well, a lot of it seems tied to specific education reforms and government initiatives. They're really investing in human capital, diversifying their economies.
Yeah.
Education is central to that.
Makes sense. And finally, Africa.
Africa's market is projected to grow from $84 billion in 2021 to about $181 billion by 2033. This is CAGR, close to 6%.
And the key countries there, Nigeria and South Africa.
Those are the biggest contributors, yeah. South Africa, for example, is projected to grow from about $36 billion to $83 billion. So again, more than doubling.
Wow. Okay, so we've kind of done a whirlwind tour of the globe here. Billions becoming trillions, growth pretty much everywhere, but especially explosive in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, it's quite the picture.
So let's try and tie this all together. What does all this mean for, for you listening, whether you're a student, a teacher, an investor, or just someone trying to keep up?
Well, I think if we connect it back, these huge numbers, they're not just about money, are they? They really show this massive global shift. How we learn, what we learn, even where we learn, it's all changing.
Right. And those core drivers you mentioned earlier, the ed tech investment.
The huge need for specific skills.
And that whole digitization of academic services.
Yeah.
Those seem to be the real keys, the big takeaways. They're fundamentally reshaping education.
Absolutely. They are the forces driving this multi-trillion-dollar market forward.
It really makes you think, though. As online learning and all this tech keeps growing, how's that going to change, say, traditional universities?
That's a huge question. Will it make learning more accessible? Probably. But will it change the value of a traditional degree? How does it alter the whole idea of a classroom?
Yeah, exactly. What does a classroom even look like in 10 years? Big questions. We're seeing the foundations being laid right now in these numbers.
Definitely something to chew on until our next deep dive. Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and get straight to the insights that matter. Today, we're diving headfirst into education. It's a sector that's, well, literally shaping our future, and it's changing faster than ever. Understanding these shifts is key, really, for anyone navigating this world where learning is, constant. Our focus, the educational services market. We're basing this deep dive on a really thorough analysis from cognitive market research. It gives us a great look at the trends, the big transformations happening globally. So our mission today is pretty simple. Pull out the key nuggets. What's driving growth? What are the challenges? And what does the future actually hold for education?
Okay, let's unpack this then. When we talk about massive growth in educational services, what's really fueling that? What are the main engines?
Right. Well, the analysis from cognitive market research really zeroes in on three primary drivers, and they're quite connected, actually. The first one, and maybe the most transformative, is this rapid digitalization. And alongside that, the huge uptake in e-learning.
Okay, digitalization and e-learning. Exactly. We're seeing internet access, smartphone use just climbing everywhere, not just cities, but rural areas too.
Yeah.
And it's not just, putting a textbook online. Institutions are really using learning management systems, LMS, those online platforms for courses, assignments, discussions.
Right, the whole infrastructure.
Yes, and virtual classrooms, mobile learning apps, the works. What's really revolutionary here is how it's opening up access, democratizing it, you could say,
Uh-huh.
challenging the old ways, the traditional gatekeepers. It's creating this huge demand for digital platforms, online tutors, content development. It's reshaping learning for everyone, everywhere. So, building right on top of that digital foundation, the second big catalyst is government support.
Policy and funding.
Precisely. Governments all over the world, developed nations, emerging economies, they're investing heavily,
Yeah.
pouring money into educational infrastructure, especially in places that were underserved before.
Makes sense. Trying to level the playing field a bit.
Exactly. Think about pushes for compulsory primary education, funding for digital schools, partnerships with private companies. It's all aimed at expanding access and equity. And the report also highlights national programs focused on skills, skill development, adult literacy, equipping people for the jobs that are actually out there. That fuels growth directly. And then the third big force, which the research really brings out, is this surging demand for skill-based and vocational training.
Right, because the job market's changing so
You
fast.
got it. It's incredibly fluid. So students, professionals too, they know they need to constantly upskill or even reskill completely. So they're flocking to boot camps, getting technical certifications, working on soft skills, trying to stay competitive.
What kind of fields are we talking about?
Well, the big ones you'd expect, really. Coding, digital marketing, data analytics, healthcare. Providers in these areas are seeing huge enrollment surges. It's a direct response to what the economy needs.
That's fascinating. Those drivers really paint a picture, don't they? Like the idea that someone can learn coding from a top boot camp online, maybe even with government help.
Absolutely.
That just wasn't possible a decade ago. It's a huge shift.
Yeah.
So how these big trends actually, impact someone trying to learn something new today?
Yeah, that bootcamp example is perfect. It
Yeah.
shows the reach, right? Someone geographically isolated getting top tier training. But, and this is important, as powerful as this growth is, it's not all smooth sailing. There are definite hurdles,
Okay.
which leads us to the flip side. What's holding things back? What are the roadblocks here? Well, one major challenge that comes up again and again is cost. The high cost of getting quality education and the infrastructure you need.
Right. The access issue isn't just about availability.
Exactly. Even with digitalization, affordability is a huge barrier, especially in developing regions. We're talking about, expensive devices, reliable internet, software subscriptions,
Hmm.
and tuition for private schools is still climbing. These costs add up, they can be really steep, and they limit who can actually take part. Then there's the digital divide. We touched on access, but this is more fundamental.
You mean the gap between the haves and have-nots, technology-wise?
Precisely. Urban areas might have cutting-edge tools, great internet, but huge numbers of people, especially in rural or poorer areas, they lack stable internet, sometimes even reliable electricity or just basic devices.
Yeah, that's a foundational problem.
It severely limits the reach of these educational services. And worse, it widens the inequality gap in learning outcomes. It's not a level playing field. And finally, there's a really fundamental issue: a shortage of skilled educators and trainers.
Even with the tech, you still need good teachers.
You absolutely do. Demand for education is surging, but many places just don't have enough qualified teachers. It's particularly bad in critical areas like STEM science, technology, engineering, math, and also in those vocational and technical fields we mentioned earlier.
So that impacts quality.
Definitely. It undermines quality, it makes it hard to scale up good programs, it slows down the momentum, even when demand is sky high.
Those are some pretty significant challenges. Feels like a lot to tackle. So what does this mean for the future then? Are these challenges being addressed? What's next? Is the market finding ways around these roadblocks, according to the research?
Yes, despite those challenges, the analysis does point to some really dynamic, promising trends. Innovation is definitely stepping up.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, what's fascinating is how innovation is trying to bridge some of those gaps. One big trend, especially post-COVID, is the rise of hybrid and blended learning.
Mixing online and in person.
Exactly. Merging traditional classroom stuff, labs, discussions, projects with the flexibility of digital platforms, online lectures, virtual labs, remote assessments. We're even seeing AI-driven feedback systems becoming, well, almost standard. They analyze performance and suggest ways to improve.
Interesting. So leveraging tech within the existing structures too.
Right. And another huge trend, really game-changing, is integrating AI and data analytics for personalized learning.
Tell me more about that.
Imagine smart systems watching how an individual student learns in real time, not just for grades, but understanding how they learn. This lets the system recommend adaptive learning paths, tailored just for that learner's needs, their pace.
Wow. Okay.
The potential outcome: big boosts in learning results, better retention, education becomes much more efficient and really focused on the individual, meeting them where they are.
That sounds incredibly powerful.
It is. And finally, there's this global expansion of edtech collaborations, partnerships.
So universities working with tech companies.
Yes, exactly.
Huh.
Traditional institutions teaming up with edtech firms. They're offering things like fully remote degrees, short certification programs, those massive open online courses, MOOCs, which have just exploded.
Ray, I've seen those everywhere.
These partnerships are breaking down geographic barriers, making education accessible worldwide in new ways, and of course, opening up new revenue streams for everyone involved. So if you connect all these trends, they're not just about shiny new tech.
No.
No, they're fundamentally reshaping how knowledge is accessed, how it's transferred, how it's personalized. Globally, it's moving us towards something much more connected and customized.
Okay, so let's quickly recap this deep dive then. The educational services market is clearly growing powerfully, driven by digitalization, government support, that huge demand for skills. But as the cognitive market research analysis really highlighted, there are still major hurdles. Affordability, that digital divide, the shortage of skilled educators. These need constant work, constant innovation.
Absolutely. Which leads to a final thought, maybe for you listening. Considering all these shifts, how education is delivered, how it's accessed, how might you rethink learning or skill development in your own life?
Oh.
What new doors might be opening for you personally, given this changing landscape of access and personalized education?
That's a great question to reflect on, and really captures that spirit of lifelong learning. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We hope understanding these market forces helps empower your own learning journey, wherever it might take you.